Welcome Opportunity Inc. Year-Round Youth Contractors. Together this year, we will be providing a diverse array of programming to Hampton Roads youth with the common goal of enhancing their educational experience and preparing them for their future careers. Thank you for viewing this presentation, as it has a lot of information that will help your program run more smoothly this year. The main theme of today's presentation is documentation. Here, you are viewing a flowchart of documentation in regards to your youth program as a whole. Documentation should flow in this order: eligibility form, objective assessment, individual service strategy, activities, and case notes. The following slides will describe in detail how to properly complete these forms. This is a view of the eligibility form that must be filled out for each participant. In the first section, you should write down the participant's name and the city or county they are living in. Also, on their social security number. Underneath this number, you must document how you are verifying it. If the youth receives cash public assistance, TANF, SSI, refugee assistance, general relief, food stamps, is homeless, or is a foster child, you can fill out the second section titled Low Income Status, Income Calculation Not Required. You put a check mark next to the category that applies to that particular participant. Then, document how you verified the category and skip to the back of the eligibility form. If a youth is not found eligible based on any of the previous categories, you need to fill out the section titled Low Income Status, Family Income Calculation to calculate family income. In order to do this, follow these steps. First, collect at least 3 pay stubs within the income determination period for each family member who had income. Second, for each family member with income, take the average of these paychecks and multiply that number by the number of pay periods in a 6-month period. Do this for each applicable family member. Third, add the total income amount for each family member and write in this amount under Total 6-Month Family Income. Fourth, multiply this number by 2 to get the annual family income and record this number under Total Annualized Family Income. Fifth, write down the family size number and the income guidelines amount for that family size. Sixth, check whether or not they are eligible based on the annual family income calculation. Seventh, document how you verified the family size and family income. If they are determined eligible, go to the back of the eligibility form. If you find that the youth does not meet income eligibility requirements based on the family income calculation and the youth is disabled, you will then fill out the next section titled Disabled Youth Family Size of 1 Calculation. You calculate the youth's income as a family of 1. Write down the total 6-month income for the youth and multiply that by 2 to get the total annualized income for the youth. Check whether or not they meet income eligibility requirements, and also write down how you verified the youth's income and the youth's disability. If the youth is found eligible based on the Disabled Youth Family Size of 1 calculation, then you can continue to the back of the eligibility form. In the Additional Eligibility Requirements section shown here, you need to fill out each piece of information and next to each how you are verifying that in the physical file. In the Attestation section shown here, you need to pay close attention to the dates. The youth and parent or guardian, if the youth is under 18, must sign and date this form after verifying all of the information entered is true and correct. After this, the youth program staff must sign and date the form. The date that the youth program staff signs this form must be on the day of or after the youth and parent or guardian signs and dates it. This date is the date of eligibility for the participant. The participant must be enrolled into VOS on the same day or after this date. No services or activities should begin before this date. This form shown here is the up-to-date Workforce Investment Act Annual Income Guidelines. Please use this version when determining eligibility based on income calculations and family size for each new participant. After the eligibility form is completed and a youth is found eligible, you must complete an objective assessment. This assessment must be completed on the day of or after the eligibility date. It is up to each youth program staff what type of instrument they would like to use for their objective assessments. Some examples shown here include the TABE, the Virginia Education Wizard, and the Holland Code. After completes their assessment, the results must be printed out and kept in the physical file. All out-of-school youth must be assessed for basic skills deficiency in reading and math using the TABE assessment. After completing the objective assessment, the Individual Service Strategy, or ISS, needs to be completed with the participant. Section 1 is shown here. Please fill out all information completely. Section 2 and 3 of the ISS are shown here. Please complete the Educational Background section and then go on to the Assessment section. Here you can use information collected from the Objective Assessment section. Section 4, Assessed Service Needs, is based on the 10 elements of every Workforce Investment Act program. Youth program staff must assess for all items listed here. If any do not apply, check no. Do not just leave it blank. For any items that the participant is found to need, the youth program staff may provide these services to the participant or refer them out to get these services. Section 5 of the ISS is shown here. Please fill in a generic goal here for each participant in your program. For example, a generic goal could look like this: to complete his or her junior year of high school. Here, Section 6, Plan of Services, is shown. In the service column, any activities that are open in VOS. For each activity, a provider must be noted. The start date of each activity on the ISS should match the start date in VOS for all activities. Do not enter an end date for any service until the corresponding activity for that service is closed out in VOS. This is an example of a leadership development activity on the ISS. Pay close attention to the dates in Section 7 on the ISS. This is where the youth program staff signs and dates the ISS, verifying that the youth participant is appropriate for the program. The youth and the parent or guardian, if the youth is under 18, must sign and date the form on the same day or after the staff signs and dates it. This date is the date the ISS should be entered into VOS. After the participant is enrolled into VOS, case notes must be entered for each participant no less than every 30 days. In addition to this, case notes should be entered into VOS within 2 weeks of the contact date and placed in the physical file. For example, if you meet with a participant on March 1st, a case note needs to be entered into VOS by March 15th, and there needs to be an additional case note entered by April 1st. Goals in VOS only need to be entered if the system prompts you to do so. If a goal is entered, it needs to be successfully completed and closed within 1 year of the opening date. Once closed, you do not need to open any more goals in VOS. When you are ready to close out a participant, you must send a request to the youth program specialist before the case closure occurs. When given the okay to close the participant out of VOS, files must be transferred immediately to the youth program specialist. Any performance measures noted in VOS must also be documented in the physical file. In order to gather as much performance verification as possible, have all participants sign a release of information form when they first enter the program that authorizes the release of participant information to the program case manager and Opportunity Inc. staff. At times, participants can be transferred between Opportunity Inc. via youth programs. This should be used very sparingly. The goal of youth programs should not be to transfer participants to an additional via youth program at the time of exit. If you think that a youth should be transferred to a program, you must send in a written request for approval by Opportunity Inc. All program transfers must be approved by Opportunity Inc. prior to the transfer. If a youth participates in a paid work experience, there is specific documentation that needs to be completed in VOS and in the physical file. In VOS, Activity 425, Work Experience Paid, needs to be opened. Also, anytime the participant gets paid, a case note needs to be entered stating that the participant received the payment, the date the payment was received, and that a record of the payment was placed in the physical file. In the physical file, there needs to be copies of all timesheets, a verification signed by the person she receives a payment, and a signed work experience worksite agreement. If a youth receives an incentive, there is specific documentation that needs to be completed in VOS and in the physical file. In VOS, Activity 484, Incentives/Bonuses, should be opened and closed on the same day that the participant receives the incentive. Also, a case note should be entered stating what the incentive is, that the participant received the incentive, the date the incentive was received, and that a record of the incentive was placed in the physical file. In the physical file, there needs to be a written verification form signed by the participant that details what the incentive is and that he or she received the incentive. Incentives also include participant graduation gifts. The above documentation needs to occur for these gifts as well. Effective August 8, 2013, participant files must be reviewed on a monthly basis for all current participant files. Please document this review in each file. Now, we will review some Youth Career Center of Hampton Roads updates. The Teen Summer Opportunity Fair is fast approaching. It will be held on March 6, 2014 from 5 to 7 p.m. We encourage you to bring your participants to this fair. If you plan on bringing your group, please let us know. If you have not had a chance yet, check out our new website at www.myyouthcareercenter.org. A great resource for you to use on the website can be found by going to the WIA Youth Programs tab and clicking on Youth Contractor Zone. In this section, you will find guidance and forms that will help you successfully run your WIA Youth programs. Another great feature on this website can be found by going to the Contact Forms tab and clicking on Telling My Story form. Both youth program staff and youth program participants can use this form to let us know about successes that are happening with our participants. We also want to remind you to keep us updated. Please send us pictures and updates on special events, participant success stories, conferences attended, and program videos. We can use these updates to get the word out and to brag about your programs in our newsletters. We wanted to reinforce guidance on the out-of-school literacy and numeracy measure. Remember, all out-of-school youth must be tested for basic skills deficiency. All pretest scores must be entered into VOS, even for those scores that are above basic skills deficient levels. Only out-of-school youth that are found to be basic skills deficient in either reading, math, or both must be progress tested every 2 weeks. Only enter a post-test score into VOS when they increase at least in one level in one area. Once a youth increases a level and it is entered into VOS, no additional post-test scores should be entered. Thank you for viewing the October 2013 Contractor Training recorded presentation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me at the contact information listed here.